When we came here, we were talking about how, and people pointed out that, it's so interesting that there's a Kashmiri Pandit producer, there's a Kashmiri Muslim DOP, there's a Mangalorean but born and brought up in Bombay writer. Then I'm like a half Mallu, half Mangalorean, but born and brought up in neither of the two states. And Reena, whose co-producer is, Punjabi origins, but born and brought up in Bombay. Then Vikas, who's our co-producer also, he's from Bihar. But the truth is, it never struck us. We were people coming to make a film. We didn't think about all this, We were making a film. And in fact, in Bombay especially, I think one of the most democratic places on earth is a film set. Because no one cares. Nobody cares. If you are honest and hardworking and you love your job, you will always have a place on a film set. It was not about let's meet and see if this works out. It was just organic. This film has driven us. So whether it's Darpan, Suhas, or me, we say we just supported this film. The film was driving the whole process. One of the days, I think day 3, we were just sitting and I just said, what if we do this in Malayalam? And that time, a close friend of mine, Shashi Dubey, who's also a very experienced executive producer, I worked with him. So he was with us just kind of jamming ideas. He and Suhas both had a huge smile on their faces when I said Malayalam, because everyone just loves Malayalam and they know I've been wanting to make a film in Malayalam. We felt that if we want to make a film that he is experimental, it has got its value in terms of a story and entertainment and all that, but it also has an experimental side to it, And we said there's no better place to try and make this other than Kerala, because the audiences also are open. If you try your best and you do something nice, there will be a certain audience that will watch it and appreciate it and even give you correct critique.
So we have Ritesh Menon, the director of the ride. It has been a wonderful ride so far. Welcome, Ritesh.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Ritesh, I'm so happy, and I would call it a success because it was released along with Mamuka's big blockbuster film. But this had a wonderful show. People are very happy with the film. So, how did you get the? What was the feedback you were getting, and how would you analyze this success?
It's still very early for us to call it success, not unsuccessful or successful. But it is amazing the way people have responded, because when you're working on a film, when you're making a film, you are doing your best. You see, you do take the decisions you feel are right. There are certain constraints, and with every step of filmmaking, everyone who comes in, our technical team and the crew, they all add value. But then there are compromises also you make. So by the time you finish your film, very seldom is it exactly what you started out wanting to make. Sometimes it's better, sometimes there are newer ideas, etc. So by the time we made it, I knew that we have something, but no one can predict how others look at, how we react to a film, no one knows. But the kind of reactions we've been getting and the responses in the theaters from some of the media, some of the people who have reviewed the film, I personally met a couple of people who had tears in their eyes by the end of the film. So that is something definitely it's not sunk in completely, but it makes you wonder that this is the impact a film can have. And the fact that our film is having this impact is extremely satisfying. It's wonderful to feel that the impact you wanted to have with this film is being delivered. So the reviews have been amazing. And of course, I'm very grateful and very happy.
So with Santhosh for long, and Santhosh Sivan is like we all adore his work. So quite keen to know how the film. I know I have heard from some of the producers, but how did the film come to you?
So you mentioned Santhosh Sivan, right? Before I get to this film, I would love to talk about him. He is my guru. He's everything in that sense, if not just as a filmmaker, but generally about life. I have just learned so much from him. I'm one of the lucky ones who has spent a lot of time as his student, as his assistant, his friend, his everything, So My last film as his assistant was Urmi, and that was like a university. That film for me, like I'm so glad I did that film because that film taught me a lot. There's a lot of responsibility on me. It was a very big scale for us, and I learned so much. So, and even he, just as a human being, is not many people know what a wonderful person he is. He's like a child, but whether you are his assistant or you work with him or you're a young creator in any form, he just wants to see you succeed. He wants you to learn and get out as fast as possible into the world. He's not one of those people who tries to hold on to people or, he's just wonderful. He will give everything so that you learn. And so I've had, I mean, I can, no words are enough to thank him, for everything. And I'm so lucky to have this relationship with him. And of course, I've kept him updated on everything regarding the film, but he's also been really busy shooting and traveling. So I've not had the opportunity to show him the film yet. So yeah, that is a big thank you to him, and he's just amazing. Uh, so coming to this film, so Suhas Shetty and me, the writer of this film, we are we go back a very long way. We have been friends for maybe 20 years or more. So we not only have we worked together, we have also like we are friends. So we have spent a lot of time together. We get along really well. He's also a heart of gold. Suhas is like one of those people who does not know how to. He does not know what negative emotions towards other people are. So he's one of those pure souls. So even my first film, which we had made in Hindi, was his script, and then other films that I had produced and done, he had written the scripts for those. This is back in Bombay. So in fact, I'll tell you exactly how this film happened. Um, I don't remember dates usually, but this one I can't forget. I was in Bombay. I was doing a show for a OTT platform, and we were almost 2 months before shoot or something like that. But that didn't go through finally because of some issues. Suhas was in Bombay. He said, "Let's meet up." So we met for a coffee. We 1.5 hours. We spoke about everything else except this film. Just before leaving, he said, "There's this 5-10 pager idea I have. Shall I tell you?" I said, "Yeah, yeah, tell me." And we keep bouncing off ideas with each other. So he told me this, and I loved it. I thought it's the I can see it. I love it. And I said, are you telling me this generally or you're already making it with someone? He said, no, no, I'm telling you if you want to direct it. So I shook hands with him and I said, please, this is the signing amount for both of us, this handshake. We are making this film because I'm tired of these huge platforms, etc., and going through the whole corporate. I mean, that's another system, but it takes a long time, and you put in a lot of effort creatively and in so many ways. So I said, this is something we will do. Forget everything else. Let's just do it. And so we said, okay. And in fact, initially we started planning it like a Hindi film. Um, and we thought, let's make it a Hindi film. So we thought about, okay, let's cast this actor, that actor. But in the first 2 days itself, we felt the effort it would take and the time it would take to set this up in Hindi, given the current scenario. And also, it takes longer, little longer there. There are a lot of steps you need to go through to even sign an actor on, even if the actor is willing. So somehow I told her, somehow one of the days, I think day 3, we were just sitting and I just said, what if we do this in Malayalam? And that time, a close friend of mine, Shashi Dubey, who's also a very experienced executive producer, I worked with him. So he was with us just kind of jamming ideas. He and Suhas both had a huge smile on their faces when I said Malayalam, because everyone just loves Malayalam and they know I've been wanting to make a film in Malayalam. We felt that if we want to make a film that he is experimental. It has got its value in terms of a story and entertainment and all that, but it also has an experimental side to it. And we said there's no better place to try and make this other than Kerala because the audiences also are open. If you try your best and you do something nice, there will be a certain audience that will watch it and appreciate it and even give you correct critique and feedback. So we were sold on the idea, and but that time we had no idea how it's going to happen. And of course, I can understand a little bit of Malayalam, but I'm not. I don't practice. I mean, I don't speak anywhere. So I was wondering, will I be able to handle it? But I said, I think I know enough. I'll manage. And in fact, that's when I called up Ranjita. Ranjita Menon is from my family. She's an actress here. She did Sergeant Bakery and all. So I just called her. I said, I'm planning to do this, and she was very encouraging. She said, I've been telling you, come here and make a movie. You come, we'll help you. You send me the draft. Let me also read it. And I said, do you think you can? Because she writes lyrics. She writes quite well actually, which not many people know. So she said, I'll do the translation, and then we just started jamming on that. And Suhas and me were wondering how are we going to do this. And I remember I told him, I don't know why I had this confidence that day. I just said, Suhas, I don't know how we are going to make this, but I'm not waiting for anything. By 15th February, I'm shooting. And I said that I'm going to shoot no matter what. If no one is there with me, I'll be with the phone. I will shoot myself, and I'm making this film on 15th February. And it so happened that we took our first shot on 11th Feb. You know, so so that's how this film has happened. The film has made itself, but the final most important factor of this film came in the form of Darpan, because we were trying to see how are we going to do this. And Suhas and Darpan know each other for a long time. I've heard of Darpan. We have kind of heard of each other. And Suhas mentioned him multiple times. And so now we were ready. We had a clear plan. We said let's meet. And Darpan already knew about this thing that we were talking about. So the moment even we just had the first meeting, it was almost like we are already a team. We were already discussing the film. It was not about let's meet and see if this works out. It was just organic. This film has driven us. So whether it's Darpan, Suhas, or me, we say we just supported this film. The film was driving the whole process, and that's it. I think by December we did our first recce, came, met some people, and by Jan we had already started casting, and that process was beautiful. And yeah, so that's how. And then the script, we were working on the script a lot, and it took a lot because the first script meeting was on Zoom because we were still in Bombay that time, and Ranjita had written a draft, so she had to read every two lines of Malayalam, what she's writing, then explain that. Then I had questions, but is the meaning like this or is it like this? Is the tone this? Can the actor say this like this? Does it have double meaning, etc.? Because I won't know that. So literally every line we went through like that, and we of course had multiple versions of the script by the time we ended up shooting. So that's how the film started. Oh yeah, I need to mention also that one of our biggest supports, and actually Ranjita is one, and one more person who made this film happen is my very close friend Sojan Narayanan. He is also an associate to Santhosh Sivan, and we kind of started our careers together. So after he finished Ananda Badram, we were roommates for the pre-production of Before the Rains, which is Santosh Chettan's Hollywood film, and that was in Munnar and all. So when we were doing the recce, Sojan and me were roommates. That was, I don't know, 2004 or five. I'm not sure, five maybe. So since then, Sojan and me are very close. Then some of my independent films that we had done, Sojan was the cinematographer in Bombay. So we go back a very long way. So I called him also, and Sojan. Even now, I got to know now that even when we were shooting, he was calling our local team here, who's also a friend of ours, Abhilash, who's a friend, who's handling the line production, and Shivan. So he was calling Abhilash, what is happening? Make sure no one, make sure no one takes advantage of Ritesh. Make sure he's getting the best deals. Don't let the shooting go over budget. I didn't know he was calling every night, and he was shooting in all different places. They were shooting him with Santosh Chettan. He used to make sure even during the release he had been calling Abhilash saying, what are you doing to help him? Find the right distributor, call these people. Behind the scenes he has been supporting this film. Without these people we would not have made the film. We would not be able to.
And during the preview, everyone was like, be it Abhilash, Shrikant, everyone was like, it's kind of a family get
Yeah,
together.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I love the.
I would, I'd love to take credit for the entire film, but I will not, because director is there, yes, to make things happen, and you have to follow one vision. But this was also a very, very collaborative effort, because for me, if I'm getting, say, a good DOP or a good sound person or music or actors, why will I impose only my views? That is, I'll be foolish to do that, because what they can add, like the actors, every single one, like, Mala Chichi, Srikant Chetan, Sudhi Kopa, Harish, and Gopika, Prashant Murli. they have come up with so much, they have just refined so many things. In fact, a lot of the things, sometimes the suggestion was so good, we change things, and sometimes even on the spot. Because I don't believe you can be rigid about cinema or any art form actually. You never know what happens. I know people who have recorded a song, then when they performed on stage, something happened. And they said, oh, that's beautiful. They went and re-recorded and changed that. The mistake on stage became a better song. So I mean, you cannot lock art or storytelling. There are ways. So I feel it evolves. So the way everyone has contributed, ideas have come from the strangest of places for this film, even the smallest of things. So like I don't know, small little, so many nuances have come from. Also, since I don't have command on the language, I'll never try and be rigid about that. So when say a Srikant Murli comes and says something to me that this will not work like this, I'll say then tell me what works. And of course, because he will know that this is not conveying the right. This line does not say it. So as long as I felt as a director, I'm clear about where I want to take it. Then as many suggestions I'm open, because then I'm not getting swayed. I know what to take. But the contributions have been immense. So it's laser collective film.
So you come from a totally different school of thought, as compared to people who have grown up in Kerala and the kind of films that they have been watching. So on the directorial side, what are elements you wanted to make sure that this should be there in the film?
I think one thing I used to tell Reena and Darpan and all during the shoot, I said that every single day in this film, as a filmmaker, I mean, every film is a learning, right? Like, so whether I have made 100 films or one film, this film, I really felt I have grown as a filmmaker because somewhere I was very clear about of course, clear about what will not work. And certain things I was very clear that this is the vision. There was no confusion about those things. Uh, One is the shot taking aspect, the look and feel. That is one thing. Other thing is character building. Who is which character and what is this character? That I think I have never been as clear as I've been in this film. And and sometimes there were like sometimes the team felt, oh, this is not, but this is going to look silly or they're not working. But certain things are very clear about that. Hang on, just I can't tell you certain things because if the film is still running in theaters, I don't want to give any spoilers. And also, like, I'll give you a small thing. The In the film, people, once they are in the warehouse, they are narrating certain things about their life. And so one decision was I wanted that aspect because I felt that the medium of acting needs to be given a platform in film, because now we are so used to a lot of cuts and all that. Even when someone says two lines, there's a flashback cut, there's this, there's that, you know. So I said, Ki, I want to stay on the actor as if for these sections of the film, I'm watching that person on stage. So we treated it. I even when we were discussing with the actors, I said, imagine you are doing a monologue on stage. You know, of course, later we did. Initially in the script, it was after the entire monologue. We would cut to those 2 3 clips of the flashback, what they were talking about, and then come back. But then in the edit, we decided let's put because anyway they were not very long cuts. We put them here and there in the middle. But mostly, I wanted. So in fact, it was very interesting because even after watching the first edit and all, Sudhi Kopa had said that, are you sure you want to hold on my face for so long? You know, because we are all not used to seeing ourselves on screen for that. Like 1.5 minutes, I'm talking and director has not cut. So, even as an actor, it's like, okay, am I holding? So he was saying, anyway, I don't like my own performances when I watch. And here you are not cutting. And I used to tell him that just hang on. I said, I don't care what other people think. You have given a mind blowing performance, and deserves to be seen in its purity without me doing anything on the. It does not need anything else. Like I was not insecure about holding a shot for 1 minute or 1.5 minutes because that is the style I wanted to do. So if you see, there are lot of monologues where sometimes there are no cuts at all. It's a single shot, and after a point, in some places the camera doesn't move. There were slight in one or two of them. Once it stops, it's just there on them. So it's literally like it's just you and the actor. You may or may not like it, but that is the form I wanted to do for this film. And I feel we pulled it off because the actors just, I think, are brilliant. So that was one aspect where I was clear in this film we wanted to do it like that, and yeah, I mean, music wise also there was, in fact, the first draft of the music was extremely experimental, and it was too experimental, I felt. And the feedback also from even the team said that this is interesting, but it may just go above everyone's head. So then we kind of did a redraft of the music, towards the end, and made it a little more palatable to all of a regular audience, basically. And even now, a lot of those things are still there. So instead of instruments, there are sounds, industrial sounds, and those kind of things that create the rhythm and the music. Initially, the musicality was less and the sounds were more. So then we kind of changed that, because ultimately it is going into a theater for a theatrical audience, and yeah, so I didn't want to just do because I like it. So I remember then I used to assist Santhosh Sivan. Sometimes when he in the on the edit table, if he cuts out a scene or gets it, I say, but Jara, that was so good. So he used to just joke in his own style. He'll tell the editor, okay, put it on a DVD and give it to him. So, like, anything like, yeah, give him a CD, he'll take it home. So when I used to say, don't remove that, he'll say, you take it home in a CD. So I didn't want things like those kind of things just because I like it, because ultimately you're making it for an audience. So then we changed a few things in the music and all. But I love what Nitesh Rambhadran has done as a music composer. Some things are very subtle, and in fact even I really started understanding some of the music after watching it as an audience, because I was in some shows I was listening only to the sound. I was not bothered. I want to see what is the sound sounding like. So that's when I realized, oh, he has done a small piano thing which you can barely hear, but it's adding so much. So it may be too subtle for what we are used to usually in commercial cinema, but I think over a period of time a listener or a viewer is going to discover that there are some amazing things happening in the music.
Talking about Santhosh Sivan, I think how we as a listener, because we all adore him, no. So during this clubhouse days, like the lockdown, he's enjoying talking about his experiences, talking about
Yeah,
filmmaking,
yeah.
cinematography.
With him, one can sit 24 hours, and you will be on the floor laughing the whole time. His storytelling is he's really funny as a person. He knows how to tell you a story.
The monologue thing I asked, and that day itself after the show, and doing the you have to memorize the, which is, this is not your experience. You are talking about the character's experience. You have to look into the camera and say that experience.
Because
Right.
in our film, the stories are actually quite absurd, and in the first half especially, if I'm watching it for the first time, I'm like, why do they think the audience is a fool? What is the story? How can one guy also, like, how come all six of these people have these strange stories that do one after the other? Of course it gets revealed at the end. So to say these absurd stories which sound unreal and something is off, like how can all of them have these stories and still convince you that hang on, there is something coming? But believe me right now that all credit goes to every single actor. I am convinced when I am watching it, like even when Suhas and me were working on the script, there were a lot of other stories also that were there. Some were shuffled, some were rewritten, some from suggestions from even Mala Chichi and people here, Ranjita, to give the context. So, for example, Mala Chichi's first story, Mala Chichi's story, FIFA's character, what she's talking about, has hints of a very famous case that happened in Kerala. I don't take the name. I mean, I don't know if it's appropriate, but so certain things they brought in that kind of a cultural context, which I didn't have or Suhas didn't have from Bombay. So also now I don't remember. There were one or two stories that for us as outsiders felt this is a good story. They said this has been done to death here, or no one is interested in this story. No one cares about this topic. So that was new. But yeah, to still be convincing when you're saying that monologue and hold your interest, because attention spans, nowadays. So to just watch an actor talk for a minute, 2 minutes is, yeah. But I was sure that I'm doing it. Like I don't want to cut.
I know. I don't know whether we call it absurd. The stories are really, and that too, those are the stories which no one will want to say about ourselves. We all say something good about ourselves.
Of course, yeah.
Nothing that we did wrong, or we are forced to, when we are forced to say something that we did wrong or something, which could be a spoiler. So we touched upon the music. So why don't you talk about the soundscape as well? Because It starts with the travel in the vehicle, which is like the vehicle is full, and you also had to do the soundscape. So could you please also talk about the soundscape part?
Yeah, actually, I'll quickly go back just a little bit. I mean, because this is kind of a behind the scenes thing. The music, by the time we finished the almost 80% of the edit, the film was done one full round. But we want to take a break and then see what to do. I got I was down with jaundice, and it was severe. So I my parents now live in Nalakuda, so I was there in their house. I mean, in that house, and I was flat. So our music director, I requested him to come to Irinjalakuda. So he stayed there for almost 3 months in the next room, and I used to literally limp and walk every night to hear a little bit of the piece. So so we had like this 2.5, 3 months in that house, doing nothing but making music. And we used to even jam, because of course I mean, I don't know anyone who's not into music. And since he had set up his all his instruments there, we used to jam on things, do a lot of things. And we even watched a lot of references. Let's go a little typical. Shall we make this commercial? Shall we make it massy? This that. And so the music was made while literally I was flat on the bed. And as I was recovering, we completed the music. And he was in the next room, and every day we used to have multiple sessions. So, or if he finishes a certain piece, he'll message me, Are you feeling good enough to come?" Then I'll go, hear it, give my feedback. And we are also friends for a very long time. He's a very talented musician. He's a studied musician. So Nitish's choice also was, see, of course, there were a lot of musicians in Kerala I would love to work with. But because of the nature of the film also, I didn't know how much control I would have on the music, to be honest. And also, I mean, I was told that here they are very busy, they may not give as much time. And I knew I wanted to experiment. And so I thought of Nitish, and I also wanted someone who's a studied musician, who can write music, who knows music, who's. I have a ear for music, but I don't know technically. I don't know understand music technically. He knows Western, classical, etc., and jazz and things like that. So that's when I called him up and I said, I'm doing this film. So when I first called him, he thought I'm talking about some 5 minute short film. He said, yeah, send it to me. So he's saying I'll finish in a couple of days. So that's when I told him it's a feature film. And then we had, of course, generally spoken to a couple of people. And Nitish I had just sent him, I think, a 5 minute sequence, 6 minute sequence. And I didn't give him much of a brief. I said, this is what I'm thinking, and that's it. And I think the next day he sent back a 6 minute music piece. And I remember we were in the car either going to some location or going for some post production. Reena, me, Baba. I think we were going to Adirapalli for a little the last part of the shoot, if I'm not mistaken. Something, a patchwork shoot or something. And I played it early morning there, and all of us looked at each other and we jumped saying, he has got the pulse. He did something really good there. It looked like it was already composed and to the beat. So I knew that he's got it. Now it's just about building on it. And then I called him up and I said, if you're cool. And then finally he came over, and so that was wonderful. So that's how Nitish came into the picture. And in terms of sound, I think there is no end to what one can do with sound, to be honest. So even now, I keep joking with the team that I would have loved 1 or 2 more months on post production. You know, like I wish I could sit with Suraj a little more for the edit. Not that I have an issue, but I feel a film can evolve so much the more you sit with it, and there's no end to that. So sometimes it's good that there's a deadline. Otherwise, as a director, I could keep going until you're fully satisfied. Um, so in sound, Arun Verma did the sound, who's done multiple films, very experienced. He's from FTI, and Dan Jose also, who everyone knows here. He has done in Lal Media. He's done tons of films. So he did the sound mixing. So I think we were very clear that we don't want to go overboard with trying to show off, see what all we can do with sound. It should feel very real and like a slice of life film when it starts. So there is no extra music in the beginning or any sound design that is going to take your attention away. Like if I was standing near the waterfall in the opening scene, I'll hear a stream flow, maybe some birds, and that's it. Just because it is going to be a thriller film, I can't put, you know, like some wind sounds and all, because it's a thriller film. Sound design is not always dictated by the genre, according to me. And I felt that one thing I was telling the team from the beginning, that we know it's a thriller and a suspense, but we will approach it and make it like it's a emotional drama, like a family drama. So not many of the shots and all are eerie. You won't see many extra, from behind something. It's very slice of life, like I'm making like a happy daily college rom com or a family drama or a slice of life film. So shot taking is very very simple actually in the film. Because certain things are little unbelievable. We have to convince you about things and hold you for the first hour without revealing anything. So I thought the more relatable it is, whether it's in sound, visually, and all, we feel okay, life is going on. This one could be me. I also am like that. Or my aunt is like that. My mom is like that. Anyway, I don't know if it worked. That is the way I was thinking about it. So we kept things quite simple actually. And even in the monologues, there were a lot of ideas that, let's put a lot of sounds. When they're narrating a story, how about we build it up in the soundscape, even if you're not showing it? And I still think that's a very good idea. We didn't end up doing a lot of it. My reason was, I don't know if I'll say it if it's a spoiler. My reason was how to say it without a spoiler. So I wanted to do the bare minimum, let's say, you know. So, and why you didn't see certain things and why you didn't hear certain things, you'll understand once all the reveals happen. So, so sound isn't very simplistic. Oh, also, um, earlier when we were defining the geography, we decided that the warehouse where they are is an old shipyard, ka some storage, or like something to do with fishing. So we thought maybe it's near the port. And earlier we had thought of putting ship sounds, that ship horn going pom in the distance, and but then I thought that we should not have any outdoor sounds. Like it could be anywhere. You know, like once they are locked up there inside, they should not get a clue as to which part of the world, Kerala, Cochin, where we are, you know. And I don't know if that's a right decision or a wrong decision, but I felt keeping it sparse is better. I mean, a lot of the silences also are very deliberate. And in fact, again, not a right or a wrong thing, but the draft just before this of the final film had probably more silent parts than music. And so, but that's why somewhere it's not a compromise, but somewhere I really took people's feedback very seriously. Again, for the same reason, like I didn't want if you're making it for yourself, then put it on a DVD and take it home, because I think long silences are very uncomfortable to watch, especially in a thriller. It's not a horror story, where you need. But I feel then what we finally did on music and sound, I think definitely elevated the film. But till a long time, I was convinced. A lot of the sequences, even where there was thrill, in fact, earlier there was no music. Because I just wanted the rawness of their footsteps and this and that when they're talking in the chain and
Each of these people are like gems, like beat Arun Verma, Tamburan, and
Yeah.
Suraj, charming gentleman. And your episode of doing the music itself is like a concept for a movie, I think.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. In fact, the
Lovely.
fun one part of the fun was I had lost a lot of weight because of jaundice. I'd become like skin and bones. And Nitish, he was coming to from Bombay. He was coming to Kerala, nice town with trees and uh, a parent's home with has lots of food and snacks. And you know how parents are with, and they were more than happy to have him. So most of the time, our complaints were about he's just saying, "I have put on 1 more kilo sitting here," you know. And from the beginning, he said, "Now that I've come to this nice place, every morning I'm going to go for a walk. Then I'll come back. We'll do music." He has not gone. He didn't go for one single walk in that 3 months, you know. And so we discussed food a lot, music a lot, you know, eating different things. So the food was a huge highlight of the whole music. I couldn't eat much because, of course, of jaundice. But Nitish certainly had a good time. You must ask him about if you ever speak to him.
Let's talk about the films that are yet to come from your side.
I mean, too early to speak about things like that. But in fact, with Suhas itself, there is one Hindi and one more Malayalam film that we want to do. And both are in advanced levels of the script. And one we have already, I mean, it's too early to speak about the who's and hows, but One is we're already in the casting process of one of them, which most likely it might be a Hindi one first. After this, immediately after this, and yeah, and then there's another one in Malayalam we want to do. I mean, I shouldn't be saying, but it's something that I really love. It's again Suhas's script, and I love it. And it's like a gangster comedy, and that is a genre I love. Like leave your brains behind, but get into a really thick plot with a lot of twists and turns. But the point of it all is comedy. You know, I'm dying to do a comedy properly. So that we really want to make in Malayalam. It's on a slightly bigger scale. So it'll take a little while to put in the right cast together and finalize the script. Right now the script is in English, as in English Hindi. So that process needs to happen. That takes slightly longer. And this time I learned a lot while doing Ride. So next film when I do from English Hindi into Malayalam, there's a learning now that I want to put in place. So these are two things that are, and then of course there are, I mean, you know how it is. There are discussions happening all across. I mean, mostly with Bombay because that's where I'm from in that sense. So for another film, which is a music related film, but let's see. I shall keep you posted.
Very, very interesting. And we have been talking about five producers from from the north, south, all part of the country doing a Malayalam movie. But even more interesting is that Suhas Shetty making a script for Malayalam. Of course, there are people who contribute to make it Malayalam, but that is again, I don't know, there's something like this happened earlier, might have happened, but then this is also very interesting aspect.
Yeah. No, one funny
Yeah.
thing is
So yeah.
we never realized that, like here, when we came here, we were talking about how, and people point out that, it's so interesting that there's a Kashmiri Pandit producer, there's a Kashmiri Muslim DOP, there's a Mangalorean but born and brought up in Bombay writer. Then I'm like a half Mallu, half Mangalorean, but born and brought up in neither of the two states. And Reena, whose co-producer is, Punjabi origins, but born and brought up in Bombay. Then Vikas, who's our co-producer also, he's from Bihar. But the truth is, it never struck us. We were people coming to make a film. We didn't think about all this. We were making a film. And in fact, in Bombay, especially, I think one of the most democratic places on earth is a film set because no one cares. Nobody cares. If you are honest and hardworking and you love your job, you will always have a place on a film set. And I mean, in Bombay, every morning, at least in Bombay, every morning before shooting, they light an agarbatti and they break a coconut, and that coconut is distributed among everyone. And someone does a small prayer puja. Whether someone believes, doesn't believe, that's just how it is. And we do it because the crew feels nice after doing it and they feel, okay, we have started on a good note. So every morning that happens. Most of the time, the person breaking the coconut, lighting the agarbatti is one of our spot boys or production boys. And most of the time in Bombay, his name would be Irfan or his name would be Aslam Bhai, you know, and no one cares. Neither does he, because we are making a film. Later on, when about this film, when we started thinking about it, we said, oh, yeah, that's true. Who we never thought. Of course, I was with Baba, especially, I was very much aware he comes from Kashmir because he brings in a lot of that culture because he's born and brought up there. So even when I'm interacting with him, his way of seeing things, the way he speaks and the way he understands things also is very different. So that was beautiful. So we got along like a house on fire. Like he's like a little brother, almost like a child sometimes. Baba. Super excited, over enthusiastic in a good way, always trying to do something new. He's not someone who will rest or give up or say, no, no, let's just go with it. He's ready to go till the ends of the earth to try something new. And even how he came into the project is amazing. I'm just going on another tangent. But I mean, when we were planning this film, we didn't know what our budgets can be, what we'll be able to pull off, because for all of us, it's a risk. A film is a risk, and sometimes you sit and wonder why, apart from the love for the art and cinema, why are we doing this? Because in a way, you are making, if you look at it from a business point of view, you are going to spend 1 or 2 years with no sleep, eating all sorts of food from somewhere. trying to make something, if you look at it like a product, I'm saying, trying to make something no one cares about, no one needs. And if you don't make it, no one gets affected, apart from the crew. No one in the world needs it. Like, shampoo people still need, you know, there are things people need. If you make a meditation course, video or a meditation course, there'll still be people who need it. A film, no one really needs as such. So you are doing all this, someone is putting tons of money that most likely he'll never see again, he or she. That's how filmmaking is. So sometimes you wonder, why do we do this? So um, starting from there, we were like in this whole position that, okay, now we have decided to do it in Malayalam, but do we know anything about what we are doing right now? It's nice to think that Malayalam, you can make whatever you want, and if it's good, people will like it, but there's a process to that also. It's not easy. And even here, the producers making films, hats off to them that they try these risky subjects and do new things, because making a film is one thing, marketing it and distributing is a completely different animal. Until you do it, you don't know what a big beast it is. Anything can go wrong at the last minute. So when we were planning this film, of course, there are a couple of DOPs I work with, and a couple of them are wonderful friends. I have a DOP friend who we have done many projects together. His name is Santhosh Sivan, who's a very dear friend of mine, has been a great support. So we have discussed projects together so many times. We have done also projects together. And when it came to this film, somehow things were not, because we didn't know what kind of budgets we'll have. We did not know our resources. We did not know how long it's going to take. So even for me to give anyone in Bombay a commitment of this is what we can do, this is the time it's going to take. And I felt that this film has to be collaborative. So the person has to come and spend a lot of time here. As we discover Kerala and the scenery and the locations, that person will also need to come. And Darpan kept talking to me about Baba. I had never met Baba or even heard of Baba. I have heard of the senior Tasadduk Hussain. Baba Tasadduk Hussain Jr. in that sense. Not that he's related to him or anything. I had not heard of. So Darpan kept saying, I said, no, 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 I have someone in mind. So a couple of times Darpan said, no force, whenever you feel like. So when things were kind of not falling into place, he said Baba might anyway be coming because he's very close to Darpan. He may help us out. He may see the shoot, whatever. So why don't you anyway speak to him and meet him? No obligation. And I said, okay. And also, as a producer, Darpan was taking a certain call. He knows what finances we have. He knows the budgets. He's planning all that. So, of course. And if he's saying it, there must be something. So I said, no harm in talking. So we did a Zoom call. Baba was in Kashmir that time. And on Zoom, I just kind of narrated. And Baba on the call was very, he was doing all that. So I said, why is this guy overacting and, over exaggerating the responses? I said, chalo, let's continue. But everything he closes his eyes and gets into the story. So I told him, and he said he at the end he speaks sometimes very poetically because his Hindi also has a lot of Urdu. I mean, he speaks mostly in Urduized Hindi or whatever you want to call it. So when he concluded what he felt about the film was very poetic and very sweet. But even then I was like, okay, I met him because Darpan also asked. But then half an hour later, Darpan sent me some pictures. During the entire narration, Baba was sitting in Kashmir and drawing certain images and writing notes, writing words that struck him, and creating images based on the narration. And I've never seen anyone do that. And I instantly felt like this guy. Now I know why Darpan has been suggesting him. So for Baba, it was not about what he's going to gain from the project or money or anything like that. He was just like, I like the story. I want to banate hain. Let's do it. And so Baba, not apart from being the DOP, he has done. He has edited some uh, publicity promos. He has helped us take exports to send to some people that we need to send the link. He has gone and done some interviews with people just to help the publicity. So he was like, I'm not. He's not the DOP. Like I'm the DOP. I don't do this. He has bunked with us over here, shared the room, done whatever just to make the film happen. You know. So he's like, so it's not like I'm just the DOP or I'm this one, I'm that one. It's like this is our film, and that is what this film needed. Without any expectation. I mean, it's his film as well. It's not like he's an outsider or anything. But what I mean is that thing. Even when he could have done some other projects post the shoot, he decided to just be here with us, month, 2 months, just in case. Help with small things.
was wonderful listening to you. It is very insightful, whatever you have been talking.
Thank you so much.
What I say, my conversations that inspire. I hope this will inspire some of the people who are into filmmaking. Thank you so much, and wish you all the best for the future films
Thank you
that are
so
yet
much
to
and
come.
wish you all the best. Thank you so much. I mean, even your interest in the film and all of us in the making is very, very encouraging. So, I mean, what you are doing is really, really good for us filmmakers. Like you give us like this encouragement to continue. So, thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.